Thank you very much, everybody. We're going to switch gears and talk about gold exploration in Colombia. And let me just introduce myself. I'm one of the founders of Collective Mining. I'm the current CFO. I was formerly the CFO of Continental Gold, where we operated in Colombia for over a decade. Okay, a little bit about us. So if you haven't heard about Collective Mining, we are the former management team of Continental Gold, where we discovered 11 million ounces of high-grade gold in Colombia. We permitted it, we financed it, we built it, and we sold it to Zijin Mining in March of 2020, 1 week before COVID lockdowns, for approximately $2 billion in enterprise value. We found ourselves out of work, locked down, and bored pretty quickly, so we reinvented ourselves and called ourselves Collective Mining. We picked up some ground in Colombia in a different area than our Vertica mine was, and we have 5 rigs turning. We have a 20,000 meter drill program, 40,000 meter, drill program underway, and we've made multiple porphyry discoveries, one major one. We're hoping that we could turn some of the other ones into a major one in the next 6 to 12 months. A little bit about our capital structure. We've got a tight capital structure. We have 68 million shares outstanding. Roughly half of that, or 40% of that, is owned by management and insiders, so we are well aligned with shareholders. On a pro forma basis, we're well cashed up. We got around $28 million in cash. We secured a strategic investor this past March that came in for 6.5% of the company. We have a few analyst research that cover us. You'll see them on the right-hand side, and hopefully within the next month or two, we'll add 1 or 2 more. Our board of directors and management is really we lifted a lot of them, not all, but a lot of them directly from Continental Gold. We're led by Ari Sussman, our executive chairman, who was supposed to be here today, but we're in town marketing and our schedules blew up and we had to divide and conquer. He was the former CEO of Continental Gold. Our current CEO is Omar Ozma. He's a CEO on the ground in Colombia. He was the former VP legal at Continental Gold. And our young geology team is led by David Redding and Richard Tostel, which is on the bottom right-hand corner of that slide. David was the former VPX of Randgold, discovered 25 million ounces plus in West Africa. And Richard Tostel, who probably people don't know, but we consider to be the porphyry expert in the world. A little bit about Colombia, because I suspect this crowd is either A, not familiar with Colombia, or B's got a negative impression of Colombia. I've been operating in Colombia for 15 years. It's a great place to do business. It's not perfect, don't get me wrong. But the judicial system is separate from the political system. And when things look like they're in tough, in my experience, the ship's always righted itself. It has a long an established mining industry. What we have here on the right hand of the slide is a select group of current mines that operate in Colombia. You'll see that it's a good mix of open pit and underground. Some of the largest mining companies in the world have operated in Colombia: South 32, Glencore, Drummond, and of course Zijin, who bought our Vertica asset in 2020. From a permitting perspective, I think it's notable is that Colombia is arguably one of the best countries in the world to permit a mine. And here we are at a mining finance conference, and one of the big challenges, of course, is can you get a permit to build a mine once you've found the ounces? Under Colombian law, as long as you're at the national level, and pretty much all projects, unless they're small scale, are at the national level, you have 10 months. The government has 10 months to either deny or approve your permit. Under the current Colombian administration, which is controversial, or have been controversial over the last 2 years, there's been 6 permits applied and 6 permits granted. Okay, there's been 2 underground and 4 open pit. Colombia is a place that you can quickly permit. If you want to contrast that to the United States, where it takes approximately 14 years to permit a mine, this is a place where you can do business. Not to mention the geological potential of Colombia. Colombia has been, its major challenge is security. So they never got the exploration boom, in the 90s and the 2000s. So it's virtually unexplored. There's going to be major deposits found in Colombia in the next 10 to 15 years in both precious and base metals. We operate in the Caldas department. The Caldas department is a very safe department or province in the middle of Colombia. It's in the heart of mining and coffee growing area. We'll get more into that, but it's got excellent security, and it's kind of a very middle class area of Colombia. So now let's take a look at our projects. We have two projects. I'm only going to talk about one today, but we have options to earn 100% interest in both the Guayabalas and San Antonio project. Today we're going to talk about the Guayabalas project because that's host of our flagship Apollo discovery. Okay, the Guayabalas project is located contiguous to Aris Mining. Some of you may know Aris Mining, but they're on the TSX and on the New York, the NYSE American Exchange. They have a few assets, but they have the famous Marmato asset that's been operating continuously for over 500 years. You'll see on the slide, the dark blue area is Marmato, and we were able to consolidate this ground around them right during the peak of COVID. Why it was never consolidated is beyond us, but we're obviously happy for that. The area is rich in infrastructure. You can see our two projects are separated by a line that goes north and south. That is the Pan American Highway. That's also where the Cauca River flows, and that's also where high voltage power goes. So we are at lower elevation, and infrastructure is right around us. So when it comes time to build this mine, this will be in the lowest quartile of CapEx, I'm sure of it. Okay, let's dig into the Guayabalas project. So what you see here is Guayabalas is a brecciated, well, let's back up. So it's a porphyry district, and that's what I think was not recognized at the time, and that's why we were able to put this package together. So what you see here is all of the circles are either porphyry discoveries or porphyry targets that we generated grassroots. Okay, our flagship is called Apollo, which is located on the bottom left-hand side. Okay, with our one of our best holes, 519 meters at 2.76 grams per ton gold equivalent, coming right to surface. Okay, but we have made other discoveries. We'll spend most of the time today talking about Apollo, but we've also generated a bunch of other porphyry targets. Notably, if you look at the bottom left-hand side, you'll see Box, Tower, and X. Those are all new targets that we've generated. We're currently drilling Box. We have 2 drills on Box as we speak. It's very early days. We don't even have, we've got 2 holes into it and we're waiting assays, and those should be ready sometime in the 4 to 6 week period. Okay. One other thing I'll mention about the area, we are in an excellent area to permit. I mean, within 3 kilometers of our project, there are 10 permitted and operating mines, okay, including Aris Mines Marmato mine. Okay, there is significant exploration still outstanding on this project, and I'll demonstrate that in a minute. Okay, so here's a long section of the Guayabalas project. It's really just to demonstrate 2 things. One is the vertical extent that we're hitting. You'll see Apollo on the left-hand side. We've hit as just over 1 kilometer, and it's still open at depth. Notice the proximity to Olympus, which is another porphyry discovery that we've made. Okay, and then on the left, you'll see Box that we're drilling now, and then 3.5 kilometers to the right, you'll see Trap. That's another porphyry discovery that we've made. Early days, probably only about 10 holes into Trap. Okay, and then you'll notice a gap in the middle, and you wonder why there's a gap. Well, the gap is simply because we just didn't have the bandwidth to do the geochem, the field work. That is currently underway. Our guys are on the field. You'll notice that it's more difficult topography. It's more mountainous than the other areas, and the path of least resistance when you start a project is go to the easier places. But we expect, I mean, there's no reason why we wouldn't expect, given our success rate to date, why we wouldn't generate new targets within that gap. That'll come sometime, I'm sure, sometime later on this year or early next year. Okay, let's look at Apollo. Well, Apollo is a big system. Okay, this is a grassroots discovery, never had a drill in it, and we happened to clip it just grassroots reconnaissance drilling. We clipped, I think it was 80 meters at almost 3 grams per ton, and then we put subsequently over 40,000 meters into this deposit to date. It looks kind of like Africa, but the bottom part of it is basically where it comes directly to surface. Okay, it is a brecciated porphyry that's overprinted by CBM, or what we call carbonate base metal veins. That's why the grades are so high. There's multiple geological events that have happened here. You had a porphyry, which is actually fairly low grade, that's been brecciated, which basically means it's been exploded, and there's a bunch of space inside of the porphyry, and then CBM veins or precious metal veins came in overprinted on top of them, and that's where the metal gets trapped in those little holes, and that's why we're seeing these significant grades. Okay, we've done a lot of metallurgy on this deposit. It's got excellent metallurgy. I won't go into detail on that. We've got 3 press releases, but suffice to say that it's going to get extremely high recoveries with very conventional circuit. This is some of the select drill results of Apollo. Okay, the only place that we know it's closed is in the southeast. Okay, it's wide open everywhere else. You'll see the dimensions on the bottom right-hand side. Currently, it stands at 560 meters strike, almost 400 meters width, and over a kilometer depth. Okay, you could do the math. We're making some basic assumptions based on some of the grades that you see on the slide here, and you will conclude that this is a multi-million ounce deposit and growing. Okay, how big will it get? I'm not sure. We have to find the edges of it first. The 2 black lines that you see on the slide are the next drill results that we expect to release sometime either later this week or early next week, I think. Visually, they look amazing. Okay, they look like we continue to hit mineralization. If the assays corroborate that, that'll be a significant step out for the Apollo deposit. Okay, and just as a reminder, it comes directly to surface. Okay, as I mentioned, it comes directly to surface. This is a zoomed in area of where it comes directly to surface. This gives you a more detailed breakdown of the metal composition from surface, but you'll see some of the grades. I mean, we're hitting 359 meters at 3.55 grams per ton gold equivalent directly from surface. I won't go through the other ones, but this is exactly where we envision an open pit to start. What we're looking at is, or we're thinking, is that this would be an open pit in an underground mine. Okay. I don't know. This is early days. We don't even have a maiden resource estimate for this yet. Okay. Our objective our midterm objective would be to drill this out into a maiden resource estimate sometime in 2025, and hopefully, with some luck, either confirm that one of the other existing porphyry discoveries turns into a major deposit, or make a new one at some of our targets. Okay, it's got the added benefit of a oxidized cap of about 30 or 40 meters at the top, which basically has augmented the gold grades and decreased the base metal grades, which is great from a metallurgical perspective. But you'll see I mentioned some of the grades, over 350 meters at 3.55 and so forth. This is a phenomenal discovery. We're thrilled about it. And the only other thing I'd say about it, if you want to quiz people and ask about, what is the last significant open pit or big kind of underground mine that's come to production without a starter pit, you'd be hard pressed to find that. So we have the benefit of that. Okay, this is just a cross section of Apollo. The only thing I'll say is that it does get, what you see there is in the middle, you see the brecciated porphyry, and the lines on the side of it are the sheeted veins. It does get deeper or wider at depth. Okay, so that's interesting. We just need more drilling to confirm that. Let's move on to the Olympus discovery. Okay, Olympus was the first target that we drilled on the property because it's the only area on the property that has artisanal miners. It doesn't have a lot of them, but it's got about 100 of them. You'll notice on the top left-hand corner where we drilled, there's a couple of drill holes there where we hit 300 meters at 1.1 grams per ton gold equivalent. That's pretty good. It wasn't a porphyry, so it wasn't what we were looking for. It was a sheeted vein system. That was around the same time as we made the Apollo discovery. So, of course, we dropped everything and we've focused on Apollo. We've since kind of gone back to Olympus and kind of stumbled across it because if you notice the proximity between Olympus and Apollo, they're pretty close. In the late last year when we were drilling, we finished up drilling for the year, we decided that to drill a deep hole or a long hole from the south of Apollo right through the high-grade portion and we let it go into Olympus. What happened was we hit about 200 meters of dead, nothing, or very low grade. And then surprisingly, we went into a new porphyry about a kilometer below Olympus. Okay, so this has very similar characteristics as the Marmato mine, which has got sheeted veins up top, and below it where Aris Mining is developing is what they call Marmato Deeps, which is a porphyry. Okay, so there's potential here for two things. One is that happen, and two, there's a potential that Olympus and Apollo are connected at depth. Okay, and if that happens, that's a material development for the asset in terms of tonnage. The Trap is another discovery I mentioned earlier on. It's another porphyry discovery that is about 3.5 kilometers from Apollo. This is early days. We only got about 10 holes into it. We're hitting a lot of smoke. We don't understand it completely at this stage, but 159 meters at over a gram is 600 meters at 1.1 gram. There's a lot of metal there. It's a big system. It's 2 kilometers by 2 kilometers. It needs more drilling. Let's continue to drill it and hope. Okay, last but not least is the box target. As I mentioned earlier, this is a grassroots generated target that's just got drilling underway. For what it's worth, on the whole property, it's got the highest metal grades anywhere. So we see breccias, we see veins, and the hunt is on. So where we can find veins that overlap the breccia that will generate hopefully high grades like Apollo. Okay, so just to wrap up, catalyst for 2024 is drilling, and drilling. Okay, we're gonna have press release news every 3 weeks. Okay, as I mentioned, our business objective is to drill the Apollo out to a maiden resource estimate in 2025, and with some luck, find another Apollo 2.0. And we believe if we could find that, this becomes a tier 1 asset. That's all I got. Thank you very much.